folks. You guys are watching Chat Sports' coverage of the 2018 NBA Draft. It has just concluded. Cam Rogers with you, Harris Rubenstein alongside. Let's summarize the entire list here. DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, Luka Doncic, Jaren Jackson there, 1 through 4, Harris, Trae Young, Mo Bamba, followed by Wendell Carter Jr., Colin Sexton. There's Kevin Knox there at number 9. Mikal Bridges for the Phoenix Suns, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 11, Miles Bridges at number 12. 13 through 16, Smith, Troy Brown stands out. Michael Porter Jr., of course, everybody wondering about where he was going to go. DiVincenzo at 17, Kevin Huerter, like that pick a lot, at 19, going to Atlanta. Grayson Allen at 21. Chandler Hutchison, great value for the Bulls at 22. Holiday at 23. Simons at 24. Mo Wagner going to the Lakers at 25.
What's that name? Wagner.
Yes.
Oh, fun name. I love saying it.
Beautiful name.
Wagner.
By the way, great value at 27. Robert Williams there going to the Boston Celtics.
Maybe the steal of the draft. I mean, it still remains to be seen how he plays in the NBA because he has some deficiencies. But, I mean, this is Brad Stevens we're talking about.
Sure.
No one knows how to get the most out of their players like Stevens does. He is going to be a sensational player on the Celtics. What a perfect fill to a need.
Omari Spellman there for Atlanta, Okobo for Phoenix, Javon Carter there for Memphis. There's Jalen Brunson going to the Dallas Mavericks. Mitchell Robinson finally off the board at 36 going to the Knicks. Thought he was going to go a little earlier in this draft. Gary Trent Jr. via the trade to the Blazers. And you've got Kyrie Thomas as well. Good value there for the Detroit Pistons at 38. Vanderbilt for the Denver Nuggets at number 41, Bruce Brown for the Pistons. Justin Jackson there at 43 out of Maryland. Good player. Then you've got DeAnthony Melton, a guy that was around those recent investigations with the NCAA and all of that. He's going to the Houston Rockets. Bates Diop, great value at 48, going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Elise Johnson there at number 50, going to the Indiana Pacers. Tony Carr there for the Pelicans too. Vince Edwards for the Houston Rockets. Devin Hall there for the Thunder at number 53. Then you've got Raymond Spalding out of Louisville at number 56. And then to wrap up the final 4 selections, Kostas at number 60.
Kostas.
Not the only member of that family in the NBA. You got Giannis, of course, there with the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, Harris, the 2018 NBA Draft is in the books. You've got your winners. You've got your losers. Here are your winners. The Phoenix Suns top the list for you.
I will say this. We are all winners because LiAngelo Ball didn't get drafted. But anyway, my real winners from the NBA Draft. Let's start with the Phoenix Suns. They did a terrific job tonight of filling a lot of different needs with a lot of young players, especially ones that I am incredibly high on. They get the best offensive center in the draft at DeAndre Ayton. They get the best 3-and-D guy in Mikal Bridges. And they get the perfect point guard to start for them at the lead of that attack. Their starting lineup next year will most likely be Elie Okobo, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Josh Jackson, and DeAndre Ayton. I love that starting lineup. Maybe they shifted around a little bit because that's a lot of youth and a lot of rookies on the court at the same time. But overall, I love what the Suns did tonight. They are my #1 winner for the draft. They nailed it tonight. And that's without taking my #1 guy and #1 overall. I thought that Doncic, not going to the Suns was going to tank them. But that Okobo pick to start the second round and then somehow getting Mikal Bridges from the 76ers was an outstanding move by GM Ryan McDonough. Outstanding move getting Mikal Bridges for – I love Zaire Smith. I'm incredibly high on him. And how Mikal Bridges is worth Zaire Smith and a 2021 draft pick from the Miami Heat is beyond me. Terrible trade for the Sixers. I think that was the worst trade we saw all night.
Well, you really loved what the Boston Celtics did with Robert Williams, Harris, at 27. Love the value.
1 pick overall, and that's all the Celtics really needed. Robert Williams, in my opinion, was the #1 steal of the first round. He dropped all the way to 27. He's a great center, versatile player. He's going to be a perfect fit in the Boston Celtics system. I actually have something really funny to say about the Celtics. This just popped up on my Twitter feed. Jared Weiss, who's a Celtics guy that I know, I follow him pretty consistently, speaking with front office people for 3 different teams, the reaction to the Celtics nabbing Robert Williams at 27 has been, quote, hell of a pick, absolute steal, and son of a bitch. that should tell you all you need to know about the Celtics getting Robert Williams. Fantastic selection.
Boom. You got the Denver Nuggets as well. Big-time winners in my eyes. Harris, Justin Jackson, Michael Porter Jr., Vanderbilt, all good value overall.
I like what they did. I think that they needed to fill their bench with versatile wings who can do different things. We don't really have the versatility here, but
sure.
Michael Porter Jr. at 14 is incredible value. Jared Vanderbilt is an amazing pick as well for them there. He can't shoot at all, but they need defense off the bench, and Justin Jackson as well. They needed length. They needed defense coming off the bench, especially because Wilson Chandler is bad, and they got exactly that. I like what the Nuggets did tonight. I would have liked them to maybe get one more shooter at the guard position, maybe like a Gary Trent, but I'll take a bunch of wings. I can't complain that much.
Everybody was wondering where was Luka going to go. He went to the Dallas Mavericks. They traded with the Hawks.
They got my #1 overall player, and they traded up from 5 to get him. Luka Doncic is going to completely transform that entire team. Dennis Smith Jr. and Luka Doncic is absolutely frightening. I'm sorry. That is an incredible NBA backcourt with the youth that they have, the playmaking ability, the explosiveness, the court vision. It's unreal. They are a match made in heaven. I don't worry about one of them needing the ball in their hands at all times. Look, if James Harden and Chris Paul can make it happen, so can Doncic and Dennis Smith Jr. I also really like the Jalen Brunson pick. I think it gives them a lot of safety if Dennis Smith Jr. or Luka Doncic end up being really bad. Brunson is a nice, safe pick. If all three of them end up being good, great. You have a nice four-man guard rotation with Doncic, Smith, Jalen Brunson, and Yogi Ferrell, who they already have on the team. Maybe you throw Seth Curry in there as well, just for fun.
Really happy with what the Atlanta Hawks did tonight as well, Harris.
I think they took advantage of a draft that was completely wide open, and overall, they needed to just start getting some good pieces to build towards the future. Now, when I say this, I want everyone to take a deep breath and let me explain. The Hawks are trying to build like the Warriors did. They have their director of scouting that found Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They have their defensive coach that they stole the Warriors' defensive coach this past season. And look at the players they drafted. Trae Young, who's his top comp? Oh, Steph Curry. What about Kevin Huerter? Who's his top comp? Klay Thompson. Amari Spellman? I could totally see him being a poor man's Draymond Green in a lot of ways.
Good
They're
picks.
trying to build this. They're trying to build their team around shooting and defense. And that is so unbelievably important in the modern day game. And I love throwing a little bit of fire into their starting lineup with John Collins. I think he is such a good player with a lot of high upside. You match him with Trae Young and Kevin Huerter, Hawks are going to win some games next year, people. They're going to be really, really young, but they're going to be really fun to watch. And that's all you can ask for from the Atlanta Hawks.
So the losers, Harris, the Clippers, Wizards, 76ers, Charlotte Hornets, and, of course, Lavar Ball.
I just don't think the Clippers took advantage of having 2 first-round picks. I mean, look, I think SGA is a nice pick, but I'm not super crazy about him. The Jerome Robinson pick, for my money, I think that's way too high for him. I know the guy can get buckets, but look, this Clippers team had some needs that they had to fill. I mean, they still need some guys on the wing, and I still think they need a knockdown shooter. I just don't know. Maybe Jerome Robinson is that guy, but I just think, look, you have 2 first-round picks. You're the first team in NBA history to have back-to-back lottery picks. And you end up with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a reach for Jerome Robinson?
Yeah.
I'm not overly crazy about it.
All right, well, let's take a look at the Wizards as well. They had some precarious decisions this evening in terms of their draft selections. And they didn't have to, go crazy or get aggressive with whom they selected. But, I mean, I was just not a fan.
Every single year, I wait for the Washington Wizards to prove me wrong. I constantly tell people they're one of the worst run teams in all of sports. I don't know how Ernie Grunfeld still has his job. I just don't understand it. I don't know how they haven't moved on from a lot of their players. Troy Brown is a nice player, but, I mean, Kelly Oubre is an unbelievably similar player as him. So is Otto Porter. Where does he's not going to start. They needed a big man down low. They didn't go with the best big man on the board. Why they didn't end up taking Robert Williams is beyond me. He's the perfect fit for their team. I do not understand how they possibly could take Troy Brown, again, a player I like, over the best center available. They've been talking for months about how they need big men. and they don't take the best big man? What? This is so typical Wizards. I'm so done waiting for them to prove me wrong. They never will, and eventually they'll have to trade the best player in the history of their franchise in John Wall and never have even gotten close to a title.
Brutal.
Oh well. Bye-bye.
Meanwhile, 76ers, Zaire Smith, I like that a lot, but after that...
I want to put a little asterisk on the 76ers because I like what they did with that Shake Milton pick, and I like the Landry pick as well, but I just don't understand what that Zaire Smith, Mikal Bridges trade was. Why do you make that move? Imagine having in your draft, like I like Zaire Smith. I've already said that I'm one of the highest people in draft community on him. I love him. I think he's very explosive, but now you have a worse player and a 2021 pick from the Heat, and you gave up the best 3-and-D guy in the draft? I don't understand it. I don't get that trade. And my little friend on Twitter here, TC Chandler, who's saying that's a good trade, it's not. They got the worst. Any trade that you end up with the worst player, you lost. Especially for a 2021 pick from the Miami Heat where you dropped 6 spots in the draft and gave up a top 10 player in the class. Bad trade. That's what happens when you don't have a GM. I think that was the worst trade we saw all night.
Charlotte Hornets, Devontae Graham out of Kansas, not a bad selection. Miles Bridges at 12, a little too high for me.
I just on the Charlotte Hornets in general. I mean, look, I like the players they picked, but what's the direction here? What are those Charlotte Hornets trying to do to improve their team? Miles Bridges is a good player. He's not going to help you make it to the playoffs next year. Same with Devontae Graham. Diallo can't shoot. They got a draft and stash guy in the end of the second round. I do not understand what the Hornets are trying to do with this team. Love the Dwight Howard trade. Good job on them. They now have Timothy Mozgov. He's probably going to get bought out, but I just don't get what the Hornets are trying to do with this franchise. They have no direction whatsoever.
All right, Lavar, LiAngelo, of course, losers tonight as well, with LiAngelo going undrafted. Super chat comment via YouTube Live. What about LaMelo here, Harris? Can he make it to the NBA?
I will give a legitimate answer for this. Talk to me in 2 years. We got a long way to go for LaMelo Ball. He's got this whole JBA thing going on, still super young. But look, he's an explosive guard. He's good enough shooter with NBA range. He's just so unbelievably cocky. I think NBA teams are going to be like, dude, why are you so cocky? Like, again, take away the ball at the end of his name and make him LaMelo Bob. I just don't even know, again, if we're talking about him. That's just kind of how this all works.
All right, one more comment via Super Chat on YouTube Live. Good night, fellas. Thanks for a great show. Well, thank you for coming along.
Thank you, guys. We had such a great time tonight. The draft was awesome. I'm excited for all the new followers. Please stick with us here on Chat Sports. Subscribe. We'll have so much NBA content throughout the entire NBA offseason. We'll be on the Cam Show tomorrow morning.
Bright and early.
Great night. Awesome draft.
It was fun, buddy.
Great
job.
We did great. We did a good job.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this presentation of the 2018 NBA Draft right here on Chat Sports. I'll be back here tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time for the Cam Rogers Show.